Hey, what is up, you guys? Justin here. Second devlog. In my first devlog, I talked about myself. I introduced myself. I talked about what I liked, and I talked about what I wanted my game to look like as an end product. However, let's be honest, you don't care about me. You don't care about what I like. You probably care more about my cat over here in this background. If I made a YouTube channel just starring my cat, you'd probably like it more because you're a content vampire, conditioned by shadow people to consume content, to quell the existential dread of having to work a 9 to 5 to be able to afford things that you want, like the next iPhone that doesn't have anything different than the iPhone before it, or at least minimally so. So instead of talking about a bunch of stuff that you don't care about, I'm going to get right into the foundation of my game, starting with the character player. All right, so right now, my game doesn't look like much. There's a couple of objects out here in my field, and you can see a little player start. I've got a level, which is just a plane. It's not anything fancy. And I've got a volume box here, but we're just going to talk about the player character right now. So we're just going to open this guy up, go to the viewport, and all I've done here is I took a capsule component. I put a mesh in there. I've got a spring arm, a camera that's attached to that spring arm. And then I've got the standard arrow component and another arrow component that I made myself for a system that I don't know that I'm going to be using anymore. But I'm not looking for something that looks amazing right now. I'm looking for something that works. And so to do this, I just took the tutorial TPP mannequin, stuck it in my skeletal mesh, and I even used the tutorial TPP mat or material and stuck it on that. So I've just got a yellow dude with a capsule component. Now, I had to ask myself a couple of things about this guy as a foundational character. What do I need him to do? I need him to move around, and I need him to be able to shoot. So to start, what I did is I decided I wanted to use the new enhanced input system from Unreal. And in here, you'll see that on this side, outside of this, I've got a folder called input systems. Within this, I've got a number of different inputs, actions, which are going to be used to trigger specific things within the game. To create these, I'm just going over here, going input action, and then I put them in the input map. The input map assigns keys to different actions that can be called within the player character once the input mapping subsystem has been applied, and then we can use these keys, which we make here, to be able to use them. So if we go in here, originally when I was making this, I set up my player character, I set up the player controller, and I created a blueprint interface. I have not used this blueprint interface yet. I have it here just in case later on I want to add something to it. Now, a lot of YouTube tutorials teach you, hey, put all this shit in your event graph in the fucking player character, which is fine and dandy until things start getting bigger. Right. So right now, if you're looking in here, you can see that I have my shooting logic, which is super rudimentary. I have a bunch of logic here for stuff that I'm not even using anymore. And this is why I needed that arrow component, because originally I wanted to be able to make a lot of bullets spawn around the player, because originally I was going to make this top down as opposed to third person. And I just haven't got around to ripping that back out. This is going to be part of my inventory system. This is just going to be a branch to check and see if the fire rate changed. And we'll get to that in a later video. This is my damage that's being applied to the player. And this is what happens at the beginning of play, which originally I needed my bullet spawn array for the shooting logic and blah, blah, blah. Some of this can come out, but this also creates the UI player HUD widget, which I can also delete because I've learned some things since then. And this is just a super rudimentary leveling system for when I kill the enemies. However, the whole reason I came in here was to show you that this is generally where tutorials are going to teach you to put crap. However, I realized quickly that I can put a ton of this logic within the player controller. And to do that on event begin play within the controller, I just need to add the enhanced input local player subsystem from in here and then use the input map that I've created. This creates it so that the controller is the only thing that's worried about my movement, my inputs, and things like that, reserving my player character to be able to do things that to be responsible for things that it needs to be responsible for, as opposed to just the movement. The controller is responsible for your movement, for your inputs, for firing, things like that. The player character can be responsible things for updating its inventory, overlaps, hit events, things like that. So in here, I took my enhanced input, which was move, which is has keys of W, A, S, and D currently, and I wanted to add a movement input from the right vector. This allows me to move left and right. And then I wanted to get the controller's X and Z values. We're going to make a rotator out of that, get that right vector, and it's just going to allow us to move. Then we get the controller rotation and just the Z value. We make a rotator and then we get a forward vector, and that allows us to move back and forth, all scaling from our Y value components and left and right scaling from our X values. And then we just get the player character as our target. That allows us to, once we come in here, be able to look around, move left, move right, move forward, move back. And as we're moving around, we can see where we're going. Later, I'm probably going to be able to make it so that the camera can look independently from the character. And I will be moving the UI component from here. And this is something that also doesn't get talked about a lot. We don't need to create a UI player HUD widget within the player character. We can actually use, if we come out here in the world settings, there's actually a HUD class here. I can actually take this and I can make it the HUD. And I think I can actually probably delete this now and we'll still see the, nope, I have not got the HUD class quite set up. I have a HUD class, but I don't have a HUD class yet. So I can move this. So at event begin play, I'm not having to cast to the UI widget and create this and create a UI ref and all of this crud. I could actually just create I wouldn't even need to create the widget. I could just create the reference of UI ref within there so that when I shoot something or I take damage, I can just call the level up or set health UI elements on their own with less computing power, which is nice. So the next thing I needed to do in this is I need to figure out how fast I want the player to move. I also don't have any jumping mechanics, so we might go through, I might just create a quick jump mechanic during this video. But the thing about movement is it needs to feel nice. And right now I have got a walk speed of, let's see, I think I set it to 600. Yeah, so 600. I believe this is 200 above what is default. Actually, that is the default. So 600 is your default. If I had a non-default value, you would actually see this little return variable. So I'm walking at 6 meters per second. And currently, I think for a starting character, this movement is nice because later on, I actually want to make it so that my move speed can be scalable off of items that we have in our inventory and allow the player to choose whether or not they want to move faster or not. And so 6 feels pretty good to start. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is probably a good starting movement speed because you're not going to have a lot of enemies on screen currently. Now, I also have the shooting logic set up. It's super basic. It just shoots straight out in front, and my camera is straight above, obviously. And it is not taking into account my cursor position yet, as I haven't added the trace lines to create vectors that I need to be creating. I'm going to be dealing with that a little bit later. And so let's just go ahead and quickly make a jump component or a jump action, because we know we're going to want to be able to make the player jump. So to do this, I am going to go to my input systems. I'm going to right click input actions, I_jump. I am going to save this, go into my input map, add a new mapping, scroll down the bottom here, click jump, and then under here, I'm just going to hit keyboard, hit space. I don't need to set any triggers or modifiers because all this is a Boolean. It's either actually working or not. I could go in and I could change some things. However, I'm not going to deal with that right now. Next, I'm going to go back to player. I'm going to go to player character. I am going to delete this because I'm not using it currently, even though I will switch my part of my shooting logic into here. I'll go enhanced. Or actually, I can go IA_jump. And oops, not get IA jump. I need the function _jump. I need this one. We can see that we have some action values. We can go triggered, and then we can just call jump. Whoa, there should be. Oh, in here we don't actually have the player movement component. So because the player's here, we can actually call a player character reference ref of type BP _player character object reference. Pull this in, we can get jump, then we can hit triggered jump, and then when completed, nothing is going to need to happen. So now I think I'm going to look like an idiot here in a second. I should be able to go in here and I should be able to jump, but I can't. And so now I need to figure out why. Our errors say access none, trying to read property, player character ref jump from player character. This is because instead of doing it this way, I should have just done it this way. Get player character as target. This should work. There we go. And now we can jump. The hard reference there just wasn't working because it wasn't actually getting the player character. It was just a reference to the object, but not the actual character itself. I could probably fix this and find a better way to do this. But yeah, so I have work to do here. But I think for now, I've got a good foundation. I can shoot. I can get some very basic things done. And a lot of tutorials that I find online get really consumed with making these basic and foundational things needing to look good, like adding the entire animation blueprint, getting the jumping perfect, getting the shooting perfect. But I don't fully know the extent to which I want my game to actually look yet. And so because of that, I need to actually spend some time building out the systems, building out the mechanics, and building out the complete gameplay loop so that then I can go back in and I can fine tune those things. Now, by doing it this way, I feel like I'm giving myself a better foundation to work from, something that feels a little more scalable, something I'm not so locked into. And so, as you can see, obviously I'm recording this after having done some work within the game engine to start this. If you had seen on the side, I have things like pickups in there. I have an inventory that actually functionally works, but isn't being called to the player yet to change variables like things like the fire rate yet. But I've got foundations, and that's what I care about right now. I care about those foundations. I care about them working smoothly, and I care about them working nicely. I don't care about them being perfected yet. And so in the next video, I'm going to talk about my player AI, because I actually have a very, very basic enemy AI. And actually, if I put it in the level, you will see, if I put it and the spawner in the level, let's do that. You will see that if I shoot back over here real quick and then I play my game, if I hit play, here's my enemy. It does not like do anything special, but I also have a spawning mechanic where I can be shooting these guys and they will damage me. As you can see, I'm getting damaged. And I can kill these guys. So I just got damaged again. I need to work on some of this. It is not working properly, but it is foundational. And that's what I like about it. So if you like what you see, if you're liking this content, I know it's not like top tier, let me teach you how to do stuff, but this is for me. This is for me to go back and look at how far I've come. Look at what I've done and look at what the game was versus where the game is now. And also hopefully create some hype once I get down the pipeline and I am ready to potentially start marketing the game and giving it to people to play. So if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe, or don't. I don't honestly care. I mean, I guess I kind of do, or I wouldn't be putting it on YouTube, but I'm not going to hurt my feelings if you don't like it. But until next time, which hopefully maybe I'll get another video out next weekend, just stay weird out there and have fun, guys.